know. I don't, it feels too aggressive to me. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education, June 12th, 2025. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public and is not to be considered a public meeting. Could we have the roll call, please?
Julie Turner, or
I am
Dr.
here.
Turner, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
It's been a while. Ms. Anderson,
Present.
Ms. Bryant,
I'm also here.
Mr. Carter. Here. Mr. Kilgore.
Here.
Thank you. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to begin with a presentation from the OSBA. Yes.
Can we give Mr. Ewing a mic?
Oh, sure.
I got a big mouth, I can yell.
They won't be able to hear you on our TV.
Yeah, here.
Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
So before I get to do my official work, I did pass out some really cool new pens for the Southwest region and one of my business cards. So if you ever have any questions regarding OSBA, just feel free to give me a call. I also handed out a cover page for our scholarship that we give out. So for the seniors coming in, the 2026 seniors, the scholarship application and all the information is due on December 1st. We've given out 5 of them since it started. The closest one to Cincinnati has been Lebanon. Everything else has been way up north, so let's get some down here.
Okay.
So the real reason I'm here is to present a certificate for veteran board service. This is for 20 years of service, and it goes to Emmett Kilgore.
Surprise, surprise.
He was like, who?
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, this is a surprise.
Mhm.
I didn't know I'd been on it that long.
I know, we were just talking about
I
that.
know, I thought it was like 12 years.
No, I've been 12 years, and you were before me, so.
I'm halfway there.
Okay. Next is the agenda. Board members have had the opportunity to see the agenda for this evening. Before we get too far into that, I would like to make a change. The executive session, which is item 2 on our agenda, we're going to move to the end of the meeting. Same reason, it is still consider one or more of the following items with respect to a public employee or official appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation. So we're going to move that to the end, which will be item 8. Well, it would be item 8. We're taking out item 2. It'll be item 7. So everything will go one number lower. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Mr. Carter. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore,
Yes.
Dr. Turner.
Yes. Board members have also had the opportunity to look at the minutes from the May 12th, regular meeting, and the special meetings held on May 19th, May 28th, June 5th, and June 9th.
Dr. Turner, do you have to officially vote to accept the agenda?
We do, I'm sorry. Well,
Because you amended it to change the exec session,
yes.
but then do you have to then accept the agenda? Because that wasn't.
Well, that's
voted.
what the vote was, to accept the revised.
Okay, yeah. Well, you didn't do a vote then to amend. We only did one vote. So do you vote to amend and then vote to accept?
Yeah, I think it's okay this way.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Lavonda knows everything, so if she says it's okay.
You amended it before we voted,
Mhm.
so, and then we voted on the amended agenda.
Okay,
That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
Mr. Carter, Mr. Kilgore,
Yes.
Dr. Turner.
Yes. Okay, we are no longer entering into executive session now. So moving on to item 3, Mount Healthy Teachers Association. Do we have anything from the Teachers Association?
We do not.
None, all right. Any announcements?
No announcements.
All right, public input. I have 3 cards here. Just so you understand, with the public input, you have to state your name. And you have 3 minutes to address the board. Public input means exactly that. You may talk to us, it doesn't mean we necessarily answer or get into a discussion or a conversation. It's strictly saying what you want to say. Let me find my little timer here. There we go. So first we have Michael Ham. So you need to come up here, and you need to use a microphone.
There's a microphone.
Oh, okay. Is it turned on?
Hello, my name is Michael Ham. I have 2 students that attend Mount Healthy High School. I wanted to discuss the closure of the school in July. First, I want to say that the closure is going to greatly affect the sports. As educators, you are here to prepare children for the next steps. We have several seasons that start in August. 2 weeks is not enough time to prepare for these children to hit their respective sports and show off for college scouts. This could cost the parents tens of thousands of dollars each, because then their kids will not get scholarships. That with the full month of July of practice will give them the time to get better at their sports so they can show off for the colleges, get scholarships. I mean, it's really your football team. 2 weeks is enough time for this revenue generating source to get prepared to go onto the field and play. Are you going to stop them from practicing? That's all I have to say.
There are more people coming. Oh, okay. That would work too. Next, Joseph Ahmed. Hamid, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Coach Jay, also known as Joseph Hamid. I'm the volleyball coach and the basketball coach for Mount Healthy's JV teams. I was just informed that the school will be getting closed down for July for a month, and our first game is supposed to be in August. I can tell you right now, with just only a few weeks to train the girls, we're not going to be able to make it. This season, literally, I pushed the girls to the max. Some of the kids I take out of school just so I can train them in sand courts, just to prepare them to play on the court. But they need to be able to work as a team. I can't get 3 girls to practice at one time, and then they get on the floor with 20 other girls, and none of them know how to play at all. We just got probably 15 girls that can't even pass a ball right now. But for us to be told that we can't coach them for a whole month, I can't prepare them for a game. We might as well forfeit a season. But that's all I have to say.
And Nakaya Ray, thank you. I don't like to butcher people's names.
Hello, my name is Nakaya Ray, and I'm an athlete at Mount Healthy High School. My first question is, why are we Mount Healthy students facing consequences on mistakes we have not made? As an athlete, I need my gym to improve and work on the skills that I lack. Over the past years, we have been paying to play the sports we have chose. However, if we don't have the skills to do so, would I be wasting my money? Sorry. We already are lacking basic skills. We should have our gym so we have room to improve. Also, many students may have issues outside of school, and our practices may help and even be an escape for most. Taking away the gym can negatively impact us as athletes due to lack of equipment and lack of time. Please consider keeping our gym open. Therefore, it can give your students something positive to do.
Okay.
Dr. Turner, there's one more.
Oh, William Allen?
Hello, this is my first time attending one of these meetings. What I have to say is a little bit different. I'm worried about outcomes. And when I say outcomes, I mean the children's outcome. One of the things that we've invested is money in them to come here and experience a holistic experience of socialization and community. And they get that with student athletics. We've paid money into the student athletics, and we were hoping for that holistic experience. It is understood that this district is in financial straits, but how much is the district going to save by closing a building for a month? Or is it possible for other alternatives, like keeping a part of the building open? I just wanted to know if that is possible. Have you thought of other alternatives besides the gym here? Like the Y, see if we can get a donation from, I work at UC, see if we can get a donation from UC because they've got courts. What has the board done to look at alternatives? Because I had a great time watching volleyball, the men's volleyball, and watching the support of the young women. And one of the things that you hear about is this between the two genders, I guess. But you see the sense of community that they're building and the rapport that they're building with one another. And putting that on the shelf for a month can be difficult for some. It's like somebody else said, this is a refuge, and that's what we want to see continue.
Thank you. I'm going to let Dr. Hawkins answer that, but before she does, I'm going to say, I guarantee you they have gone through every scenario they can possibly come up with for how to deal with this and what is the best course of action. And I kind of hate to say what I'm about to say because people will say, oh, it's like a threat. It isn't. This is a cold, hard fact. Right now, the district still needs to make more cuts, and we've cut teachers, we've cut administrators, we've cut everything. The levy failed in May. If the levy fails again, next year we'll probably be looking at cutting all sports, because that's the last thing we have left to cut to save money in this district. So right now, we're trying to find every little bit that helps, and we're really hoping that people will support the levy in November. But yes, they've done as much as they can. And I'm going to let Dr. Hawkins give you some of the numbers and some of the details, because it's been her and her team that have really worked on this.
Thank you, Dr. Turner. And I want to say I'm very happy to see so many people come out tonight. One thing that I think a lot of times, because people are not at some of these meetings, they don't understand how hard the board and the district has worked to preserve sports. So about a little over a year ago, we found out we went into fiscal emergency literally overnight.
About a year and a half now.
Yeah. So as a reference point, as I've talked to different superintendents across the districts in our state, most districts have about 4 to 5 years to prepare before you go into fiscal emergency. Some people think that the superintendent controls the finances in a district. I do not. That falls under the treasurer.
And it wasn't him.
It wasn't him, but we have forecasts that are given. We were told we had in excess of $18 million in November of 2022. In May of 2023, we were told that we had over $10 million in the bank. And we were planning accordingly with a lot of programs. If you've been here very long, you've seen things added with grant money, smaller class sizes, things like that is what we were doing with our excess money. In November of that year, we had a treasurer retire. A new treasurer took over. When she looked at the books, she found out that there were a lot of mistakes. And we were actually, she thought, $5 million in the hole for that year. So we went from May 10 million surplus to 5 million in the hole by the end of the school year. We didn't believe that that was accurate. How could that be accurate? We had a company come in and do an audit, and by the time it was finished, we were actually almost 11 million in the hole. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I'd be happy to sit down and go through all of that with anyone who's interested in that. What happens at that point is the state comes in and they say you have to make cuts to balance your budget. And that's when we started laying off teachers. Class sizes started getting larger. Not because it's what's best for students. We know that's not true. But we have no choice but to balance our budget. This time last year, FY26 was projected to be 45 million in the hole.
That's fiscal year.
Fiscal year, thank you.
Don't know all the
Thank you.
terminology.
We have made enough changes that now FY26, we are just a little bit to the good. We came up this summer, and I'm not sure if people are aware. If you are, I apologize for repeating, but we had a meeting in May where we presented things that we felt that we could cut and still maintain as much as we could in the buildings. The commission, whatever this board decides, there's another layer. The state commission has to approve it. They came back and they disproved everything that we had projected.
Disapproved, not disproved.
Well, they first disallowed. And instead, they gave us a list. Now, for you students in the building, to cut all the administrators in the building. Every one, except the head principal. Now, think about that. This was one day they told us we had literally the weekend. This was before Memorial Day. This was on a Thursday. They said by Tuesday, we had to find $2.2 million more in cuts, or all the administrators would not be renewed for next year. We thought we had cuts that were okay. One, I'm going to tell you the easiest cut that this Board of Education could have made on paper would be sports. Because we spend as a district over $1 million out of our general fund on sports. I know, we started doing pay to participate. If every student paid the fee, pay to participate, to cover just our cost for coaches, uniforms, transportation, does anyone want to guess what your pay to participate fee would be? $2,000 a student. That's what would actually cause us to break even. But the board really grappled with this, and they know that sports is important to the students in our community. It's important to the families. And so we cut additional district office personnel as well as other personnel in the district to keep sports another year. So for instance, Jana Wolf is here. She's our teaching and learning director. When I came to the district in 2020, she had 10 people working in her department on curriculum, working with students that spoke different languages, working with students experiencing homelessness. She now has 1. They were all cut to preserve sports for another year. So the board does not take that lightly. They really struggle with, they know how important, even though I want to say we've had meetings where people have shown up and said sports are not a graduation requirement. They need to be cut because we had to eliminate all the school nurses because to keep sports. And so we came back with all of our changes and got them approved for 1 more year. That's why the gym is closed. It saves over $20,000 to the district to shut down the gym for the month of July. For volleyball, you're not allowed to practice in July. You can only do conditioning. OHSAA, and I verified this with the athletic director today, you're not supposed to be doing any type of practicing as a team, only conditioning. Now, I'm sure Coach Cannon's here. I'm sure that's what he's doing. So we thought by letting you utilize district office and the gym that you could do conditioning in this facility, which is the cheapest to run for electric. The high school, the month of July, the high school alone, $23,000 to run the electric for the high school. That's a lot of money when we don't have students in there day to day. So that's what they grappled with, because we're trying to cut and save money every place that we can so that we can preserve the sports program as a whole. As Dr. Turner mentioned, not this fiscal year, but next fiscal year, we're short about $700,000. If we can pass a levy this year, it'll be fine. And we can keep sports and we can keep building. If not, that's the last thing that has not been cut to the bare bones in the district. And that's what would have to be cut at that point. So we absolutely want our students to have the opportunities of scholarships and time where they can come and get lunch. We are maintaining our summer feeding program and doing that in a creative way so our students can come and still have those meals. But that's the decision that the board had to grapple with and why we made the decision to change it to just all the districts are not going to be open so that we can have that savings. So that's where our reasoning was. I don't know, I'm happy to answer additional questions, but our first floor is open every day as well as the gym. Yeah, Mr. Ham.
Just one comment, really. Cutting sports, this school is bad enough with fights now. You cut sports, you might as well fire the teachers and hire cops. Because this school will be unteachable if you take sports out for the aggression that teenagers have to have.
But we don't want to cut sports.
But I'm saying,
Right.
if that was an option, you might as well just cut all the teachers, because you're gonna need police officers to be
Well,
able to-
I'll tell you, after the last meeting that the commission had here, when they were saying cut all of the administrators in the buildings, except for, so they keep telling us, do only what the law requires you to do. Law does not require us to offer sports, obviously. The law also says you have to have one principal per building. Doesn't matter how big the building is, how many students, the age of the students, or anything else. And they said you have to go down to one principal per building. And the initial reaction, and Dr. Hawkins calmed down after a little bit, but her initial reaction was literally, we might as well go virtual. We might as well shut the buildings because we cannot run them with one principal per building. The state is giving us these mandates, and they can shut the district down. They can close the district, theoretically. There are, at least they think it would be easy to do. It would not. So, like Dr. Hawkins said, we understand how important the sports are to our students here. We understand the scholarship issue, all of those things. We don't want to cut sports. If any of you want to volunteer to help get this levy passed in November, we'll take all the volunteers. Students who are really good at getting up and speaking in front of crowds, good for you, getting up and talking at the meeting. But honestly, the state is saying you have to cut more, you have to cut more, you have to cut more, and whether it's more teachers, more administrators, they're saying whatever is not required by law is open for cuts. And the biggest one of those things would be sports if we end up in that situation.
And that is not what we want. And I would encourage, the commission meeting is on the 26th of this month. The commission needs to hear from the community, because I say these things and it doesn't have the same weight as a parent or a coach or a student. And so when we have been advocating, when we had to cut over 100 staff members, I'm going to tell you, yeah, and busing, it grieves me, because I know that's not what's best for our students. And all of our achievement was moving in a positive direction until we hit this obstacle. The next time I saw the commission leadership, after listening, we met with all of our staff that we were going to have to let go. Immediately, they were like, how are you going to cut another $6 million? Not even a breath on over 100 people's livelihoods being impacted. So this is not an easy situation, and we know sports is great for kids for a variety of reasons. Smaller class sizes are what we need for our students that need more intervention. At the high school, we have brought in, through grant money, not general fund money, a culinary program. We partnered with Great Oaks on business, the business classes, the robotics classes that are offered. We did partnerships for that. By state law, we only have to offer enough classes for students to get their 20 credits. Is that what's best for students? No. And I'm going to go out on, I'm just going to say, would this be done in some of our surrounding districts? I'm going to say no, because the community would not allow it. And I would encourage everyone to come and speak at the commission meetings, because I personally believe what has been done is wrong and unethical, really, because I do not feel that it's providing the adequate education that is mandated by the Constitution of Ohio. However, I don't have the final authority. This board does not have the final authority to mandate that that happens. It is with the commission until we can get our books balanced.
For 5 years.
Well, now they've just changed it to 3.
Oh.
The state, the new budget bill has 3. So if you want a situation where this board can make those decisions independently, that levy needs to pass. Because when we can show that we are in green for those years, the commission would then be disbanded, and the board would be the final authority on all decisions in the district. Until that deficit is resolved, they are not. They have to, they approve, and then the commission says yes or they say no. So I really would encourage, speak to people in the community. I'm very thankful. I got several emails from students today, and I responded to each one. I'd be happy to sit down with any person here and any student and go by in as much detail as you want about the challenges that we have faced over this last few years. Our students, a lot of times people don't think that Mount Healthy has achievement, but just since 2020, when I came to Mount Healthy in 2020, our graduation rate was 66%. Last year it was 91.2%. Our students are achieving, but we need intervention. If you want to advocate, the loan that we got from the state could have been turned into a grant and forgiven for Mount Healthy because it happened so quickly. The state did not grant us that. This board made a petition to the state, to the governor, to Director Dakin, and asked for that to happen. They did not allow it, but they did give us a longer payback. Initially, they said we had to pay back all $11 million in 2 years. They did stretch it out to 8 years. These are things that we need our community to come with us to fight. Because I'm telling you, they have been fighting. They have been fighting for this district, fighting for our teachers ever since we found out that we were moving into fiscal emergency. So it is a hard situation, and it is not one that we want to be in, and we hope that we move to the other side of it very quickly.
And I'll say 2 more things. You're right. The students don't deserve this, but it's a situation that we have no control over at the moment. But also those commission meetings are on our website. We videotape them. So if you want to go back and watch any of them and see what's going on with these, you can, I'm not sure where they are on the website.
They're on the board page.
It's always hard for me to find, but if you go to the district website and you just click the search tool and you type in commission, the videos and the dates of the commission meetings comes right up. It's always hard to find, but just search it.
Yeah, because they're very eye-opening about what's happening.
I'm just going to give this information. I'm going to give you my cell number. If you want to meet with me, please write it down. And summer is a good time to meet. It's a little more open than the school year. 513-709-1545. Text me. You can also email me and let me know when would be a good time, and we can sit and talk. As Dr. Turner said, we are trying to put together a levy group. There's a lot of rules with levies, but the people who are sitting in this room are the ones who can be advocates. I personally do not live in Mount Healthy's district, and so I'm limited in what I can do because the law says I can't do certain things to promote a tax that I personally will not pay. But the people who are sitting here that live in the district, you have a lot of opportunities to advocate that I do not have. And so I would encourage you, if you're interested in that, we want to have a big push. There will be a levy on the ballot in November. I will say if that levy passes, it will take care of fiscal year 27, and it should take care of fiscal year 28. At the state level, they're making a lot of cuts. Last year alone, I'm going to share, since you're all here, I'm just going to share one more thing. So Mount Healthy experiences things that I feel is very unfair. So for instance, we have about 30% of our population that receives special education services. And they should. If our students need those services, they should receive it. By law, we have to provide the services for students. Last year, after the state reimbursed us for those, guess how much money was not reimbursed to the district? That they said, you just have to pay for it yourself. Does anybody want to guess?
They have nothing to base it on.
Yeah, true. $9 million. A little over actually. $9 million that we had no choice but to pay, and that we were not reimbursed by the state. In addition, the state made some changes to funding, and after the school year started, we found out that our funding was going to be reduced $2.5 million, just automatically overnight. These are challenges that are very hard. Right now, the budget bill is cutting in poverty schools, cutting services in poverty schools. It's wrong. It's wrong, because every student in Ohio that's in a public school should have the opportunities. And it's wrong that our students don't have the same opportunities as some of the schools around us. But our legislators need to hear from you. Senator Blessing has been a good friend to the district and has been trying to advocate for us. Call him and let him know. You know, we can set up a meeting if you're interested with a panel of representatives, so you can talk to them and share that this is unfair. It's wrong. And we need to have more support to advocate for this to be changed for our students.
And the way that schools are funded in Ohio was found to be unconstitutional by the Ohio Supreme Court 24 years ago, I think, 20 some.
Over 20 years. Yeah.
Yes. So it is unconstitutional. They say it's unconstitutional. They have not changed it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've tweaked it a little bit, but it hasn't resolved the issue that made it unconstitutional. So a place like Kenwood, loads of money. They have stores, they have malls, they have restaurants, they have, what do we have? We have Gold Star. Like the property taxes that we get from the few businesses that we have here, and we don't have mansions in Mount Healthy, so property taxes, that way of funding schools, the rich districts do very well, and districts like ours struggle constantly. That reimbursement figure for special ed, generally it shakes out to about 40%. They say you have to provide these services and we will reimburse you about 40% of that. So that's the civics lesson for tonight. I do thank you for coming out and for being passionate and speaking up for yourself. That's great. It was a good skill to work on.
Dr. Turner.
Yes.
So I just want to say a few words. What you're hearing is that we're in a season of self-advocacy. Okay, so this is not a somebody else's problem or it'll get taken care of type of season that we're in. I recently had conversations with parents in other districts like Wyoming, where they have an email list that goes out to the entire district, and they use that to communicate and create advocacy at the state level. So what you're seeing is that Mount Healthy's voice has to grow. And it's dependent on each and every one of you and some organization at the parent level and at the student level. So we're in a season of self-advocacy, and if we sit back and do nothing, we will get nothing. And so what we are looking for and highlighting to you guys is that if we come together and advocate, then we have an opportunity to change these circumstances. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Well, I'm just looking at the room. There's more people at a banner side over there here tonight. And this is going to affect our whole school. And you people are the experts. What do we need to do to gather all the parents together in an auditorium setup so we can speak about this? Because the Browns just got $600 million. The Bengals are
Right.
getting ready to get a bunch more. A good portion of that money needs to go to the school.
Right. I would love to hear what we had community meetings for every month for 6 months, and less than 10 people showed up. We put it on
10
Facebook.
people total.
10 people
10
total.
people total.
But it was at the auditorium. But we tried putting it on Facebook. We tried using our system to call people. I would ask, how can we get the parents there? And we're thrilled to see the people who are here tonight. We can meet at the high school. If we're going to have a large group, I'm happy to set up a time and sit and talk with the families whenever. How can I get the representatives to come, because we sent out a phone message before those meetings. We're having a public input meeting. We want to hear our community members, what is said, and it just doesn't result in people showing. So what are some of your ideas on how can we get people, you name the day and we'll be there. And so, but how can we get people to show up?
And we do understand that a lot of our parents work second shift. A lot of our parents work 2 jobs,
But we can meet
or
at
more.
different times. We can meet morning, evening.
You know what would be great would be to see a student group come together and come up with some ideas for how to address these things and how to get the parents to come and those kinds of things. It's so, when I was in high school, you just let the adults figure everything out. And like, we need all the help we can get. We really do.
Is there a social media platform or another platform that's more effective than, for instance, Facebook, in getting people to see the message and then?
Don't say TikTok. We're not doing any dances.
I say Instagram.
Yeah, I think sports are very important to the district. The kids need it. It's an outlet. Don't want them out here on the street corner doing whatever they need to do. They need to be in the gym or wherever. I was a volleyball official for several years, a fast pitch softball official for several years, and a basketball official for almost 40 years. I did high school, college, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the running, the camaraderie with the kids. It was a great experience for me and the kids. I learned a lot from the kids, and hopefully they got a lot out of me. You're technically, you're out of here. It was a great feeling. So I know I'm one for sports, but I'm only one, and you got to see guys doing whatever they want to do.
We can set a date right now if you want to say we're going to meet in the auditorium at this date, and then everyone here can start advocating, or not the month of July at the auditorium, but June or August.
One suggestion I was gonna make is fall sports has a meeting. If we had a meeting before the meeting, I think that would get quite a bit of.
With the sports, that's a great idea. What's that date?
Another
I don't know
suggestion,
the date, but I can look into it. And
Would that be a good?
another suggestion is if you want to put your name on here along with an email or a phone number, and you're interested in do whatever, we'll reach out to you and say, hey, how can you help?
Maybe Coach Cannon might be able to lead this up for us. I mean, he obviously has encouraged more people to show up tonight than we've had in a long time. So, Coach, would you take that on? Do you have the fall meeting? So, okay. So, Coach Cannon will communicate that to me, but before or after, and then everyone is welcome. We can have more than one meeting. Genuinely, we want Mount Healthy to be an amazing district for our students. So I think that's a good starting place. And again, the commission meeting is the 26th. I think it's important. They do listen. We were going to reconfigure our buildings to save money, and staff showed up and talked to them and said they didn't want that, and they changed and said they weren't going to do it. So I think it's important for them to hear the importance of sports and academic things. How important are your principals to you in the building? I know most of our principals, they go and they talk with kids and they try to help them. We have some amazing principals in the district. Our counselors, our teachers, our support staff, our lunchroom people, our security monitors. All of them have a heart for the people who live in Mount Healthy. So I think that's a great place to start, and we are completely open to whatever you feel we need to do to resolve this financial crisis and get the power back in your community.
You're on financial literacy, but you're not on academic.
We are on both. This year, our scores have plummeted, and that's because of all the cuts. we were progressing. I mean, it's literally like this. You know, except for graduation rate. Graduation rate is the only one that has continued, and that a lot of the work of Ms. Yancey and her team over there, really working with our seniors, because a lot of our seniors are transient. We have challenges. That's one of the problems we face. The challenges that we have at Mount Healthy, a lot of schools, they don't face those same challenges, you know, in and out. A lot of the challenges that we have. So right now we do have a lot of academic areas that will be considered by the state as an emergency, but the financial emergency, you can have academic issues and the state does not come in and take over. They do for financial. So once we get back on track financially, then all of you and the board regain the total power. A secondary group that either affirms or denies. But thank you, Coach, for taking on that, and I think that's very important to start.
Get out there and get this levy passed on November 4th, I believe.
And thank you for everybody who came and stood up for your students, for your fellow athletes. Thank you. Okay.
Anyone else wanted, before we move on? I thought he was going to. There you go. That's great. Okay, thank you.
For those members of the audience who do not wish to stay for the very boring business portion of the meeting, now would be the appropriate time for you to leave, but you're more than welcome to stay for the business portion.
Again, thank you for coming. Thank you.
And this is what the room usually looks like.
Whose laptop is that? Is that yours?
Great question for
That laptop?
He probably voted no.
Oh, it's
If I had to guess.
Okay, next we have reports. Great Oaks Board report. Ms. Anderson.
all right. So way to go. I have May's report. June's Oaks meeting was just last night, and I just frankly didn't have time to get those highlights together from last night. So we'll do June's in July, but I do have May's as promised last month. So the Oaks meeting was on May 14th. So there were three educators from Great Oaks that were honored because they received awards. Donna Eakins received the educator of the Great Oaks Campus Educator of the Year Award at the annual Hamilton County ESC Foundation Celebrate Excellence event. Ted Kirkpatrick was the recipient of the Claremont County ESC Excellence in Educational Support Award, and Joel McElfresh, I don't know his last name, was the recipient of the Claremont County ESC Excellent in Education Award. The Great Oaks Student Recognition Dinner was held on May 8th, where 186 graduating seniors were honored. The senior ceremonies were held for all of the Oaks campuses, and a record number of students walked across the stage to receive their career passports. And the board approved the salary committee recommendations for the 2025-2026 school year for all of the non-teaching positions. So again, that was May, and I will have last night's report in July.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the legislative liaison report. Mr. Carter.
All right, so this is the June legislative report. The following is the recent legislative activity centered around property tax reform, school governance, and unfortunately, it poses, what will be read, poses existential threats to our district's financial stability and policy operations. Below is a breakdown with each item drawn from OSBA's insights and recent alerts. So first up, House Bill 335, which is the Property Tax Relief Act. It eliminates inside millage, which basically jeopardizes over $1.5 billion statewide, including significant local revenue for Mount Healthy. So these, obviously the warning there is that we have devastating implications for public school districts. And so, you know, advocacy is going to be definitely needed there. Unfortunately, this House bill also empowers unelected county budget commissions to override voter-approved levies, undermining our control. Bans new emergency/substitute levies and prohibits renewal of existing ones with no revenue replacement mechanism, forcing program staffing and transportation and class sizes to be trimmed. Well, obviously class sizes would be increased. OSBA is hosting a webinar on June 16th to guide board action and district impact assessments. Next up is House Bill 309 and House Bill 129, again, inside millage county commission oversight. House Bill 309 revises county budget commission authority over property taxes. House Bill 129 forbids shifting inside millage for additional revenue and bans substitute emergency levies and requires pre-public meetings before funding changes, which are all aligning with House Bill 335's property tax restructuring. These changes shorten forecast windows and tighten cash balance thresholds, triggering review if ending funding balances exceed certain levels. Next up is House Bill 203, Aspen Runnels Law, which enhances penalties for traffic violations and vehicular offenses in active school zones, creating doubled fines and promoting student safety. Okay. Next up, I'll hit House Bill 257. The Open Meetings Act provision became effective April 9th, 2025. Allows certain public bodies to hold virtual meetings, but specifically prohibits school boards from doing so, potentially restricting member participation. And then there's a new suicide and crisis lifeline requirement. Schools serving grades 9 through 12 must now display the 988 lifeline number in district communications and facilities, mandating prompt policy and communication updates. I looked for information on the news that I saw about no pickup for public employees, but I didn't find any official legislation on that.
With that, what was in the budget bill was that if it is in the superintendent and treasurer's contract by July 1st, it would be honored. Otherwise, they are eliminating that, and they want it to be reflected in salaries. So years ago, you, with the exception of superintendent and treasurer, chose not to do pickup for administrators and instead put that amount in their salaries that would be represented. So at Mount Healthy, that won't be a big change for administrators, but for the treasurer and the superintendent, if it is in the contract by July 1st, it can go through and be honored. If not, they are saying that that is not to be included, that it should be represented in salary.
And that's the legislative report. Thank you, Dr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. I have to say, I did the legislative reports for 8 years, and I am so glad not to have to read all of that depressing stuff anymore, to get just the little, the digested versions, because you read through all of that different stuff, and it's just, it's depressing. Okay, we are now ready for the treasurer's report.
I do not believe we have any informational items to present. So that moves us over to subject B, approval of monthly financial reports. So we're just requesting approval of our typical monthly reports here, cash summary, and then the general and payroll bank reconciliations.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve those? So moved. Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Alrighty, that moves us on to subject C, approval of the financial recovery plan workbook. So we're just asking for approval of the workbook that was sent out, and also we have a updated like 2-sheet copy in your stacks that we can go over if need be.
Okay, do I have a motion? So moved. Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Does anyone want further explanation on, that would be the temporary appropriations?
Oh, this is for the workbook, not
Oh,
the
that's
appropriations.
Right, the workbook. Which sheet? We have so many sheets. in front of us.
So it has like the REF with the exclamation point top left, has FY 25 through 29. Yeah, mine's got color. Yours would be gray. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
On my copy, you have some things highlighted in green. Can
Sure.
you explain that?
Yep. So the rest of the workbook was the same as what was initially sent to you all today. We received this portion from Dorothy on the commission. She had in column BOE action amount, she had removed a bunch of these amounts due to no board action being taken, or her being able to find those numbers on any board agendas anywhere. So we've re-updated with all those numbers that were missing from the FY26 column, and then notes as to why they were not board approved. Some employees were moving from general fund to grant funds, so those wouldn't be on the board agendas anywhere. Some were replaced, but they were being moved to grant funds, so their replacements would then also be paid from grant funds. And then the highlight is just to show that now those two columns do match, and those missing savings are no longer on the sheet like they were in the original.
When the 5-year forecast was presented, all of these savings were in the 5-year forecast, and the workbook was presented with the savings in them. When it came to commission approval, they said that the savings were not approved separately. So you looked at the FRP workbook, and they went through and they said, here are the savings we're going to do, and here's the bottom line.
That was when Chuck gave the update.
That was in May. And because the workbook was used for the presentation, the implication was that you were approving the 5-year forecast and the workbook because that's what you examined. The commission said that because the FRP workbook was not approved separately, they would not include all of the savings that were listed. And it was listed when you approved the 5-year forecast, so we needed to come back with all of these savings that we went over in May and approve them independently so that the commission would consider them as savings.
Any further discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Let's see, where are we? Miss Anderson? Miss Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Alrighty, moves us to subject D, approval of the FY25 final appropriations.
Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. Ms. Anderson and Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Miss Anderson?
Yes.
Miss Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Alrighty. Moves us to subject E, approval of FY26 annual appropriations.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Bryant, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Sure. Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Alrighty, moves us to subject F, approval of transfer of funds. So we just have a couple transfer between just the accounting side of which fund things were charged to. These were errors from prior years that the the state has let us know that we need to make these adjustments just so those funds balance to where they're supposed to be.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion on that?
So when you say these were errors in prior years, are those the year, so when you're adjusting 2025, that's the year the error was made?
Yes, so that 9601 would have been a payment that was made, I guess, this year, and it should have been charged to this 002-9004 versus the general fund.
Any further discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Moves us to subject G, approval of the listed contracts.
Do I have a motion to approve those contracts?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Ms. Anderson and Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion?
I noticed that VARTech is not the lowest IT, but is aware of our need. I mean, that's gonna get pushed back, I feel like. Is that?
Jane.
VARTech is really who we've been using this year. So even though the contracts at Hamilton County ESD, they went through VARTech. So when they put their survey in for how they did this year, it's like we have never gotten reviews like we have from this group of tech people. And if you recall, this is $172,000 less than what we were paying last year, the year before. So because the difference was so small, like to kind of switch all our people again when the staff is just getting used to this group, and they did such a great job. And they also add, VARTech also gives us like extra support. So if the team that's here can't fix something, they have like the main office to reach back out to get help. And if we went with the other company, we wouldn't have that at all. So we would have to pay extra every time we needed support. So that's why we chose them.
Would it be possible to have what you just said, or at least a condensed version of it or something, written up for the commission? Because yes, they probably will push back, and that way, before they start pushing back, they can see this is why.
Yeah.
I think it's especially helpful to know that they're gonna charge us every time we have an issue, because, I mean, it does, you can see that there is a slight upcharge for them, but if they're making all those little charges, then we'll probably end up paying more for the lower companies. But if that's not listed on here, then there's no way the commission is gonna approve that.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
It moves us to subject H, approval of purchase orders over $5,000.
Do you have a motion to approve these expenses?
So moved.
Second.
Or the purchase orders, not really the expenses, but any discussion?
My question again is just, not because I don't trust you guys, but just for the commission purposes. I noticed that there's not ORC codes where it says, is it a statutory requirement? Where are you at? I'm sorry. We're under the purchase orders over 5,000. Where it says.
H on
Oh, I'm
page
sorry. Page
13
Yep.
of 35.
It says that they are required but does the commission usually require the code, the ORC code there?
Highlight that page.
Highland, but also.
Yeah, the
read
rest
it
on the next
page.
Yeah.
I mean, I will have to find one, but the Highland is our insurance.
So
know,
I think probably by law, we don't have to have insurance. Is it a good practice? No.
Right.
So I doubt
We
that
don't
there
have
is
to
a,
have insurance by law?
on buildings that are paid off, I would say no. On buildings we still owe money, I would say yes. And so I think with our mortgage loans, there should be, I don't know if it's Ohio Revised Code, but it would be in our loan agreements that until it is paid off, we would have to keep insurance. The only building that we don't owe money on in the district is district office. So that's usually through the bank. I don't know that it's Ohio Revised Code. It would be more under the lending agreement.
I just worry about the commission and their.
I don't think there is Ohio Revised Code, but it would be a violation of our lending
Well,
contracts,
could we
so
put
we
that
could
in?
pull that in. Yeah,
Required-
definitely.
Required under lending
And
contract.
for the other three, whatever the reasoning, the code or whatever the reasoning is for the three on the next page as well. I would rather us discuss it here.
Yeah.
And present everything to them.
So Aubrey is not required by law. Now, I would say, no, it is not. So, for instance, our Dazzle system is what is used to upload test scores to the state. So it's not, however, it is the electronic version. So that would need to be changed to no. However, it is important. So again, maybe a little blurb, and that, I mean, it's not required by law, but it is necessary to perform the functions of the district. So I think that's a great discussion point, that in the minutes, maybe Jana, you can work with LaVonda to write up a little blurb on these. Imagine learning. No, you can use whatever you want to do credit recovery.
Right.
You know, you can do
So-
credit recovery with a certified teacher, but again, a small blurb on why that is important. Same thing with Power School.
Or, I mean, you can either write something up and include it, or address the commission at the start of the meeting and just go through and say, this is what this is why we need it.
I would put it in the minutes. I don't think Jana can be here on the 26th.
Oh, okay.
So I would just put it in the minutes so that they have it. And then number 6 is grant funded.
Okay. Good catch.
Just gotta stay ahead of them.
The box can get as big as it needs to be. This is 35 pages. Let's make it a 100-page agenda. All right. Any additional discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Moving on to approval of then and now certificates.
It's important to note some of these are where we had a PO in place, but because of specified needs, we needed more money to finish out the year. So there was a PO in place. It's always an estimate of what we think our students will need, and in these situations, we needed a little bit more.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes. Thank you. Move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. So the first item is informational. The first thing is we did look at our sports pay to participate fees. We debated raising them this year, and the general discussion, collaboration is that we need to give our families a little bit more time to come up with more money. And so in the 26-27 school year, if we are able to continue sports, they would be raised to a flat fee of $300 for high school sports. Right now, they're paying per sport. That would just be a flat fee of $300. You can play as many sports as you would like, and $200 for the junior high. It's been, I just want to say, Ms. Cross, Mr. Davis, they've done an amazing job keeping track of this person played this sport, and here's the money, and did they play the next season? So it is a full-time job, just keeping track of that and calling people and trying to get that money in. That's not something that they had done for several years. And so we're moving to that flat fee, but not this coming school year, the following school year. And that will be communicated to our families. We will have payment plans and opportunities to volunteer at concessions and other venues if they want to work off that fee. So they will have opportunities to do that. Item B is to approve our funding application. This is done every year. Recommend to approve a consolidated continuous improvement plan. We refer to it as CCIP, funding for the fiscal year 2026. The filing of the CCIP permits the local agency, Mount Healthy City School District, to submit one application for the Title I Part A, which is improving basic programs, Title IIA, supporting effective instruction, Title III, language instruction for English learners, Title III is also immigrant, Title IV, student support and academic enrichment, Idea B is special education, Idea B ECSE, early childhood special education, as well as school improvement grants for expanding opportunities for each child. Title I, non-competitive supplement improvement in lieu of separate applications for each program.
Catch your breath.
Do I have a motion to approve these recommended, the
CIP.
Yeah, that.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C is to approve participation in federal, state programs / grants. And this is, I'm recommending to participate in the following programs / grants for FY26. Title I Part A, Title I Non-Competitive Supplement School Improvement, Title IIA, Title III Language Instruction for English Learners, Title III Immigrant, Title IV IDEA Part B Special Education, ECSC Early Childhood Special Education, Comprehensive Literacy State Development, Expanding Opportunities for Each Child.
Do I have a motion to approve participation in those programs?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Kilgore, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item D is the recommendation to approve the following resignations or terminations. There's quite a few.
Yes, there are.
It is the time of year where people are looking for other opportunities. Maybe also a few are retiring.
Do I have a motion to accept these resignations and retirements?
So moved.
Okay, that was Ms. Anderson and Mr. Carter. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Item E is to approve the reduction in force as part of the plan that was presented in our 5-year forecast. It did involve the elimination of these 4 positions, and so that's why they're being brought forth for board approval. They have all been notified.
Do I have a motion? So moved. Any discussion? Oh, that was Ms. Bryant, sorry. I usually say that. I forgot. Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to note in this section that when we compiled the plan, we tried to initially use positions where people had already resigned. And I want to just clearly note that we are not saying that those positions are not needed in our district. There are some that are crucial for the success of our students, especially right now. Jana has 0 K through 12 coordinators to work with the testing and the test scores and everything curriculum related, as well as our special ELL work, our English Language Learner Coordinator. However, those people had resigned, and so while we're working through this, we put them on that list. It is our hope that in July that we will end with a much more positive balance than we anticipated, and that hopefully at least a couple of those positions can be recommended to be brought back. The ones that were the reduction in force were just the final ones that we could not find people who had resigned. Item F is to approve certified personnel, and we have them listed. We also, if you'll look, there is a column called cost included in FRP budgets. So if it says savings, that means that we were able to hire someone at a lower salary than the person that they are replacing. So in the FRP and in our 5-year forecast, it would actually be reflecting a little bit more. If it's neutral, that means that it was exactly the same amount. And if there is an additional, that means that we had to fill that position and it cost us more. And, you know, we try to find people that are going to be a savings for the district. That's not always possible. At the end of the day, you know, we have to have people in our classrooms, and so I just wanted to point that out. So, you know, for instance, we had a savings of almost 75, 19,000, 14,000, neutral, 30,000, but then the 30,000 was offset by the one below, and then the 97 was offset. So overall, you know, I haven't added it all up. I just wanted to note that especially under intervention specialists, they're very difficult to find, and those very difficult positions may end up costing us more. And as we get closer to the school year, that could go up, because if we lose a first-year teacher and we have to replace that teacher with someone who's been teaching for 6 years, that's going to cost us more. So when you have someone who's retiring and someone is replacing them, it's going to be cheaper. But as we continue to replace people that do not have as many years, there is the potential for significant additional funds.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion?
I mean, just doing the very quick math, it looks like we are saving significantly more spending anyway.
Great.
There is one slight little mistake, which is actually a good mistake. Line 14, that's actually should be additional savings.
That's good, because I was like, whoo, that is a big cost. So instead of additional, that should be savings. That is fantastic. Because I was like, but
Even still, we were saving money though when I was
Yeah.
looking through, so that's even better.
I hope that continues. Next month will be a challenge.
Any additional discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
So I'm a mister now.
I jumped the gun. It's been a long day.
Item G is to approve classified personnel, and those are listed below.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is item H, to approve a rehire, and that is Lavonda Corner. As part of a retire rehire, you do have to have a public hearing. We had that hearing in May, and only positive comments were made in reference to Lavonda being rehired. It is a savings to the district. When you retire and rehire and come back, she's coming back at a lower amount. Lavonda is instrumental to the district, and so I would highly recommend that she be rehired.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by virtually everybody, but I'm going to say Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Can we have a vote, please?
Ms.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Definitely yes.
Thank you.
Lucky I can't vote.
Item I is to approve contract change and transfers, and there are a number of people listed below. Some of that is related, for instance, if teachers move up across the scale, if you don't have your master's degree, you're at one level. When teachers earn a master's degree, they move across the scale based on the additional training.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Carter. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item J is to approve 21st Century Grant supplemental pay. These are different people that are working in our 21st Century program, and the supplemental pay is listed below.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh. Okay, great. So the next item is specifically related to band. There are people that help with the band camp that happens over the summer. This is something that has been done every year, and there is money in the band camp, band fund to cover these expenses.
Okay. So they're not coming out of our funds?
It's not coming out of general fund.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Or it will be paid and reimbursed.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I know. I know that one.
I have a motion by Ms. Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Carter. Any discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore? Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Item L is the recommendation to reinstate the following paraprofessionals. Every year, those paraprofessionals that have been 4 years or less are non-renewed, and then they are rehired, and this is the rehiring.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Kilgore. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore? Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Thank you. Item M is to approve a resolution for declaring transportation to be impractical. So I'm going to read this resolution. It says, whereas the students identified on the attached document have been determined to be residents of the school district and eligible for transportation services, and whereas after careful evaluation of all available options, it has been determined that it is impractical to provide transportation for these students, their selected schools, and whereas the following factors identified in Revised Code 3327.02 have been considered: 1, time and distance required to provide the transportation; 2, the number of pupils to be transported; 3, the cost of providing transportation in terms of equipment, maintenance, personnel, and administration; 4, whether similar or equivalent service is provided to other pupils eligible for transportation; 5, whether and to what extent the additional services unavoidably disrupts current transportation schedules; 6, whether other reimbursable types of transportation are available; and whereas the option of offering payment in lieu of transportation is provided in Ohio Revised Code, therefore be resolved that the Mount Healthy City School District Board of Education hereby approves the declaration that it is impractical to transport the students identified on the attached document, and offers the parents/guardians of students named on the attachment payment in lieu of transportation.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Why do, where's, is there an attached document? Is this just the resolution to say that we will do this, or is there an attached document with a
No.
list of the students?
Just the resolution.
Okay, so there's no students.
That's usually voted on at the beginning of the school year, right?
Right. I just wanted to make sure because it was saying there would be an attached list, so I just wanted to make
After,
I
yeah.
just wanted to make sure that I was not missing something. We're good. I understand.
Any further discussion? Could we have a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
Item N, adopt a resolution of necessity. And before I read this, I do want to note that because of the legislative changes regarding emergency levies, it is my recommendation, and ultimately the board will have to decide, that the levy that is put on in November go back to an ongoing levy. Last November, we put on an ongoing levy. In May, we tried to change it to a 5-year emergency levy. We have not passed a levy in over 20 years in the district. There is legislation to eliminate those options for schools, and so I would recommend that the board go forward with a small 3 mil ongoing levy, and that is what is in this resolution. So it says, a resolution of necessity for the question of levying additional tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation to the electors of the school district pursuant to section 5705.21 of the revised code for the purpose of current expenses. Whereas the Board of Education of Mount Healthy City School District, the Board of Education, finds that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation by levies on the current tax list will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount of revenue for the necessity necessary requirements of the school district, and that it is necessary to levy an additional tax in excess of that limitation for the purpose of current expenses pursuant to Section 5705.21 of the Ohio Revised Code. And whereas in order to submit the question of a tax levy pursuant to RC 5705.21, this Board of Education must request that the Hamilton County Auditor certify amounts described in the Division B2 of RC 5705.03. And whereas upon receipt of a certified copy of a resolution of the Board of Education declaring the necessity of the tax, the county auditor is required by law to certify the aforementioned information to the Board of Education. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Mount Healthy City School District, with not less than 2/3 of its members concurring. Section 1. This Board of Education declares that it is necessary to levy an additional 3 mil tax levy outside of the 10 mil limitation for the continuing period of time upon the entire territory of the school district for the purpose of providing for current expenses of the school district, that it intends to submit the questions of an additional tax levy to the electors of the entire territory of the school district at an election to be held on November the 4th, 2025, as authorized by RC 5705.21. If approved by the electors, said tax levy shall first be placed upon the 2025 tax list for first collection in calendar year 2026. Section 2. Pursuant to Section 5705.03 of the Ohio Revised Code, the Board of Education has territory only within Hamilton County, and the county auditor is therefore requested pursuant to RC 5705.03B2 to certify this Board of Education the amounts described in Division B2 of RC 5705.03, and the treasurer of this Board of Education be and is hereby directed to certify forthwith a copy of this resolution to the Hamilton County Auditor at the earliest possible time, so the auditor may certify such matters in accordance with Section 5705.03. Section 3. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption. Section 4. It is found and determined that all formal action of this Board of Education concerning or related to the adoption of this resolution was adopted in an open meeting of this Board, and all deliberations of this Board that resulted in such formal action were adopted in meetings open to the public in compliance with all applicable requirements of the Ohio Revised Code.
Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Carter. Any discussion?
Can you remind me how much 3 meals would be per
It's
$100?
Per $100,000 home, it's a little bit over $8 a month. So it comes up, a 3 mil levy generates for the district $1.5 million a year, and for the tax base, it is $105 per year for if your home is $100,000. So that would be, if your home appraises at $105,000, it would be an additional $105, which is a little bit over $8 a month that would be added for each $100,000 that the home appraises for.
Okay, I have another question. If we do the 5-year emergency again, and the laws change in the middle of that, will we finish the 5 years, or will it just end whenever it would go in effect?
I would have to check. It's my understanding that with this new legislation that you're not permitted to ask for a 5-year anymore, that they're removing that option, the emergency option. They're making changes to levy structures. So another, like with inside millage being threatened, that will also have an impact on the district. but this would be an ongoing in 3 mills, which does equal $105 per year on every 100,000 that your house would appraise for, and it would be ongoing.
You said that's about $8.
It's a little
8 some change. Yeah.
$875 per month on an appraised home of $100,000.
Any other questions or discussion? Can we take a vote, please?
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes.
There will be a second vote that would need to happen in July, be official, and go on to the November ballot. And that is the end of my report.
Before we finish with your report, can we make a notation on the clinicians for the band, that the band boosters will be paying that back? It doesn't say that here, but it might clear up some questions for them.
Well, either way, but I think just put it on there that,
That it's not our money,
Right.
basically, is what I wanna,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? Okay.
I think you bought some Chipotle. I did too. They did that fundraiser, the
Oh,
band.
Okay.
So they've done some fundraisers to add some money to,
Well, when I was,
You want some Chipotle to support it.
well, they had a
Let's
fundraiser
just make
for,
sure that it's
yes.
clear, because the news is gonna be saying you about Chipotle with the money, anything.
No, absolutely not. There was a band fundraiser a while back where you went and bought Chipotle. We all went and bought Chipotle to
stood in
support
line
the
for
band.
45 minutes.
I did not. I did a pre-order, so I just walked in and picked mine up. But yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, yes. Item 6, open discussion by the Board of Education, anything? Item 7, Board of Education report. The date of the next Board of Education meeting is July 20th.
What about exec session?
Executive session.
I was gonna do that after.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The next meeting is July 21st, 2025 at 6 PM. Item 8, executive session.
We said the executive session was item 7 though. before.
Yeah.
So
I thought-
Oh, I just said I was moving it to the end, so.
I think we did list it as
Okay.
item 7. I don't care either way. I just wanna make sure that we don't have any issues on the agenda.
I thought that way, everyone who's sitting here waiting to hear when the next board meeting is, doesn't have to wait through the executive session for that. But either way, so let me get back to the executive session page. Thank you. Out of the 5,000 pages that we have. So again, under ORC, Section 121.22, for this discussion, we will be going into executive session to consider one or more of the following items with respect to a public employee or official: appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation. By the time I'm off the board, I'm going to be able to do that without looking at it, but we can't do it yet. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Carter, seconded by Ms. Bryant. Any discussion? Could we take a vote, please?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Kilgore?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Dr. Turner?
Yes. And we are going into executive session at 7:40. There will be no official action or vote taken after this. So you all are free to flee in whatever directions you choose.